Welcome, everyone, to the Husson Eagles Sports Network. I'm Avery Henningsen alongside Caden Trenwith and Philip Robarge here as we are set to bring you the North Atlantic Conference Women's Soccer Championships between your Husson University Eagles and the SUNY Delhi Broncos, two top seeds on the west and east sides of the conference. These two teams matched up a few seasons ago, Caden, in a matchup that saw Delhi win one of their first conference tournament games kind of in their history.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been a lot of change for this Delhi side since that matchup. The Broncos are coming in. They ended up only returning 2 of the 17 players from that championship team are playing today. And not only that, they have about 16 or 17 players on their team who either didn't play last year or are freshmen this year. That makes up well over half of their team. So they're in a totally different space than what the Husson Eagles are, where they're returning 12 of the 16 players who played in that game.
Yeah, Delhi, really, you mentioned only a couple of those players coming back. I remember that was one of the first championship games that I called here on the Husson Eagles Sports Network. It was a very close game, went to overtime. Delhi winning that one in overtime. The big storyline from that game being the double red card in about the 36th minute of that one that saw Kendra Donahue come off for the Eagles, one of their starting defenders, and then another player for Delhi. And that kind of changed the script of the game. The Eagles kind of didn't use a whole lot of that bench for the rest of that contest, and it definitely, you kind of saw as the contest went on that a lot of those players kind of started to get tired out there, and Delhi wound up winning in overtime. So we'll see if it's something that could play out here again on the field in a matchup that we haven't seen since that final. And Philip, looking down there on the field, it's definitely bright and sunny out here today, but I think what you can't quite see on camera, it's pretty windy out there.
That's right, Avery. It is pretty windy, and with that, it's going to be very crucial to control set pieces. I think they'll play a big factor in this one. The keepers will have to really be sure when they're coming out that they don't, over-anticipate something or try and make a play, because this wind will be a big factor in this one, I'm sure.
15-mile-per-hour winds with 30-mile-per-hour gusts. It is going to be a tough day, a very chilly day on that turf.
Yeah, you can maybe see it a little bit on some of the trees up on the hill where all the spectators are, but it's definitely kind of gusting out there, so it'll be interesting to see. You mentioned kind of those set pieces. I think also crosses this Eagles team, plays a lot of stuff kind of down the wing and then back into the box off of the foot of Buddy Meyer out on that right side. We'll see if that's something that gets affected by this wind. Husson also very good on corner kick plays, and we'll see if they can manage to control it in windy environments.
Standard passes, too, for both these teams. You can kind of see them when the defenders are doing their warm-ups, trying to pass it around. The ball is just knuckling off the foot, going every which direction. It is going to be very hard and challenging to control. You kind of have to play a safe brand of soccer out there.
What can also be tricky, I think, for keepers as well, when you get some of those shots from distance that are kind of moving around more than they might normally. And these two teams just about set to get underway. Husson, I believe, coming out with the exact same formation we saw them come out with against Leslie. And we're going to hand this one over to public address announcer Zach Mills for the starting lineups and national anthem.
That officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and are grounds for removal from Boucher Field. At this time, let's meet the starting lineups for today's contest. First, for the visiting Broncos, a sophomore goalkeeper, number 0, Abigail Allen. A sophomore defender, number 7, Ava Britch. A junior forward, number 9, Shania Myers. A sophomore midfielder, number 10, Riley Schmidt. A freshman forward, number 11, Madison Thorburn. A sophomore defender, number 13, JC Nykars. A sophomore defender, number 14, Ava Batista. A junior defender, number 20, Ayla Borsek. A sophomore midfielder, number 25, Caitlin Hines. A junior forward, number 28, Kaylee Leach. and a freshman defender, number 29, Camellia Cruz. The Broncos are coached by Zach Ward. And now let's meet the starting 11 for the Husson University Eagles. In goal, a senior from Thompson, Maine, number 0, Hannah Kenny. A senior from Bangor, Maine, number 2, Mackenzie Lambert. A sophomore from Carmel, Maine, number 7, Lindsay Reed. A graduate student from Salem, Massachusetts, number 10, Lindsay Russell. A senior from Glenburn, Maine, number 11, Kate Harriman. A junior from Holden, Maine, number 13, Devin St. Louis. A junior from Herman, Maine, number 19, Madison Higgins. A senior from Hudson, Florida, number 21, Natalie Aviola. A junior from Deerfield, New Hampshire, number 23, Kaylee Nolt. A senior from Portsmouth, Rhode Island, number 26, Megan Buddymeyer. And a sophomore from Corinth, Maine, number 30, Riley Speed. The Eagles are coached by Dennis Mullins, and he's assisted by Nick Christensen, Matt Goodman, and Chris Selby. Fans, at this time, we ask you please rise and honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
And welcome back here to the Husson Eagles Sports Network. Just about to get underway. These two teams hyped up for this contest. Eagles right now coming in with a lot of momentum from the end of the season. Went on a big run at the end of the year coming into this contest, Caden.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're looking at about 6 to 7 games in a row where they've won and won decisively. Their closest game in that is a 2-1 game against Leslie, who they later beat last week in a 3-0 win to play here today. I mean, this Eagles team is going to need their momentum. They have not won a North Atlantic Conference title in 15 years. Since that 2009 season was the last time. They've had their moments. This Delhi team kept them away from it in 2022. And this senior class, who has done so much for Husson, is looking for vengeance.
Yeah, this Husson team's been one of the top couple teams in the conference ever since I've been here, and have been kind of knocking on that door, especially this squad led by Aviola. And this year, Harriman stepping into a lot bigger role offensively. 20 goals on the year, leads this team right now, definitely in the driver's seat, I think, to probably land that conference tournament MVP award as well. 5 goals over the first 2 games of the tournament. So we'll see if this Eagles team can kind of finally break through and get that first tournament championship. Looks like Husson will start with the ball here. They're going to be wearing their white home uniforms, moving from right to left. Delhi in the all green. And at that contest that we saw Delhi beat the Eagles in a few seasons ago, Husson thoroughly outshot Delhi in that one, 25-7, but lost the game 2-3. Obviously, a totally different squad for Delhi. This Eagles starting group is pretty much a lot of those players, I believe, started in that contest as well. So we'll see how Delhi can match up against Husson. It's kind of hard to read these two teams a little bit. We didn't really see, this season was one of the first years that the West and the East teams didn't play each other at all. As Harriman's going to fit this one in the middle to Lindsey Reed. Think about the only common matchup between these two being that Thomas game that SUNY Delhi played earlier in the season, Caden.
Yeah, Thomas won that. Delhi won that one. 3-2, and Thomas was a team that the Eagles had some success against. I think a 9-0 win, and then later on in the season a 5-0 win. But again, those are two totally different matchups. You're going versus an out-of-conference matchup where Thomas had to travel away versus an in-conference matchup where Thomas only had to travel 42 minutes up the road.
Yeah, so we'll see if that's a trend that continues in this one. Obviously, you mentioned the big difference in the goals there. So the Eagles definitely kind of dominated Thomas in that contest, but it's also one of those ones this late in the season, windy conditions out here. I think if Delhi can try to just net a goal out there, it's one of those ones where you can kind of park the bus for the remainder of the game and just try to hold on to that 1-0 lead.
And that's what they did to earn this spot today. I mean, against Vermont State Johnson, they won 1-0. They only took 6 shots in the entire game, but they scored in the first 5 minutes. That really helped them pack the bus, not let Johnson get any momentum, which they didn't. I think they only had 5 shots in the game as well. So it was just a real defensive masterclass after scoring that first goal.
So far in this first couple minutes of this contest, it's pretty much been the two teams just kind of passing it back and forth on throw-ins on that far side. That one's going to get pushed up the field. You can see the wind kind of affecting just that push. It's going to be interesting to see how the two teams kind of, as it switches from side to side, at halftime, we'll see how that momentum shifts.
Yeah, Madison Higgins tried to boot a ball out, and it just went straight up in the air and just came right back to her. Wind just taking full control of the field right now.
That one's going to get kicked out wide to Buddy Meyer. Buddy Meyer back to Null. Null winning her second Defensive Player of the Year award just this week. Been a defensive menace over her 3 seasons now for the Eagles. The first conference nomination in 2023, I think, was neck and neck for that Defensive Player of the Year award as well last year. I think Leslie having the better record, I think some of that kind of carried over in one of their players winning that award instead. That one's thrown into the middle. Lindsey Reed winning that first header.
I mean, it's even hard to judge the goalkeeper stats at face value. I mean, for Weigler and Kenny don't look so great, but they don't get a lot of shots against them. This back line for Husson normally holds so strong. I mean, they have 7 shutouts, and that's normally because this back line plays so good, not allowing tough shots.
And this is one of those games, Caden, where, I mean, it's a one-off. It's not really, form goes out the window, so you really don't know.
And Harriman with a shot and score! Caitlin Harriman gets the Eagles on the board early here in the North Atlantic Conference Women's Soccer Championships.
Yeah, that's 6 goals in 3 games now. She is on fire. Definitely on pace to be the hero for this run. This Eagles are on. We talked about scoring early and what it's going to have to do. How about a goal in the first 5 minutes, Phil?
Yeah, well, it's exactly how you want to start for Husson. I mean, right on cue. And we'll see now whether or not they want to push for another one or whether they'll be conservative here.
Normally the Eagles don't try to stop at all. They are full gas on the pedal, or full foot on the pedal, that is, until the end of the game. Not changing their strategy one bit.
Yeah, we saw this against Leslie in that North Atlantic Conference Eastern Championships, where the Eagles kind of got that early goal and then just kind of kept pressing over the whole contest. That one was practically over pretty early in that one. Kenny's going to have to make a long run out to the sideline here. Looks like she's going to be able to just usher this one out of play for the goal kick. So we'll see the first Goal kick from this side. Looks like the wind's definitely blowing towards the Eagles' goal.
Yeah, Kenny has to be careful about getting this one up in the air, which she'll just give it off to Nolt right to her side. But putting that one up in the air won't get it far.
Nolt's going to try to push this one up the field. It's going to wind its way to Harriman. And a little bit of a missed touch there from Nolt, trying to step in front of the defender. Will be a throw in here on this near side. And now this puts the Eagles in a position where you can kind of rely on that dominant defense. This one up over the top. Kenny's going to have to come out and make the play on it. Seen her get a lot more minutes here in her senior season than we saw in the last couple of years. Obviously has dealt with some injuries over that time. But it's kind of started to come out as a player. Her and Weigler splitting a lot of time down the stretch of the season for the Eagles. Russell's going to try to get this one over to St. Louis. And that one's going to get kicked out of play for the Eagles throw-in. And now sent across field. Riley Speed stepping there. Speed stepped into a big role this year for the Eagles in her sophomore year. Wound up earning all sportsmanship awards, as that one, a shot from St. Louis, takes a hit off the defender.
Yeah, you kind of see her. She patrols that wing so well, coming back in a defensive stance, and then doing a great job making sure she's up there for a cross option.
This one to Aviola, tries to cut it past the defender. What a good defensive stand. Lindsey Reed going out wide, trying to find Speed, but just a missed touch on that one. As that's Higgins who's going to take it away in the middle. Gets a little tripped up, but referee allowing the advantage here. The Eagles might have preferred to have that free kick. That'll be a throw-in on the far side. Higgins always with the big throw, tries to get it up the field to Harriman. Goes a little bit past her. Trying to take it off. The defender gets clipped down on that one. It'll be a free kick for the Eagles from about 25 yards. So it'll be Aviola who's going to take this one. Kind of a tough angle, Caden, to try to put a shot on, especially into the headwind.
Yeah, I think they're going to play this one off of a run. Not sure what they're going to do to try to mix it up.
A little square ball to Harriman, and that one is going to go out for the corner kick. So trying to catch that Delhi team off guard a little bit.
It's definitely a smart play there to take that free kick short like that in the near post, as the wind, any ball that gets in the air is really going to be knocked down by this wind as it's out there facing them.
That one sent up to the top of the key to Russell. Now back into the box from Speed, but that one, exactly what you're just talking about, Philip, kind of got caught in the wind and pushed straight away. That one trying to push it up the field. And Lindsey Reed getting there. Reed earning second team all-conference awards this year as a sophomore. Kind of emerged as more of a central defensive mid for the Eagles this season, as opposed to the forward position that she got recruited at.
Yeah, you kind of saw her late in the season too, just start to really blossom in that defensive midfield there on that shadow striker role where she's just in the back pocket of the leading scorer of a team. I mean, sticks out. Kiara Magna was coming in, was the tied third ranked in national average of goals a game. And she locked her down the entire game, barely allowed a shot.
And what a move from Aviola trying to find St. Louis. Harriman there. What a save from the keeper. As she manages to keep a second goal for Harriman out of the net. And will stay out wide for the corner kick. You mentioned Magana as well as Kalu in that Leslie game. Both players that Lindsay Reed kind of shut down in that one. Very, very good at kind of that. We're going to have you cover this one player in the middle and just shadow them. So we'll see if the Eagles try to put one in the air. This one on the ground. It's going to get kicked out for another corner kick. And we'll see what the Eagles can try to figure out on this one. These first couple have kind of come in pretty low. Looks like Lindsey Russell trying to sprint over there for the pass potentially, but it's going to just be a fake out to the wide side. Lambert there and the keeper diving on it. It's the sophomore Abigail Allen in net. Orange Park, Florida here for the Delhi Broncos. Has been really the biggest starter for this squad. Played in pretty much all of the significant conference contests for Delhi. A couple different goalkeepers who got minutes, though, on the season. Higgins trying to clear that one up the field. Lindsay Reed and Nault will combine to try to clear that one out. And we'll see if Reed has the duties of covering Shania Myers, really the top offensive weapon this season, Caden, for this Broncos squad.
Yeah, and she was someone who scored that late goal in that championship game a couple years ago. One of the returners, I think she scored in about the 80th to 90th minute or so to force overtime. Obviously, Delhi was very thankful for that.
Yeah, Myers scoring in the 88th to tie it up, send it to overtime. And Delhi wound up winning about 10 minutes later off of the foot of one of their graduating players in LeBron. So Delhi with the possession here on the throw-in out on the far side. Been a couple in a row here on that deep corner of the field. And that one's going to go out wide for the goal kick. Good job, I think, defensively there from Reed to just kind of get a body on the offensive player. Force the errant touch. That one taken short to Higgins. Now Aviola weaving her way through the defense. This is exactly what she's so good at. And that one getting kicked up the field, but Myers kind of tracking back a little bit slow will get caught off sides. A good job from the defensive line there to move up the field as a unit.
And that is the benefit of playing such a high line like that, is that a lot of the times you can really mitigate and maybe even... that one.
And shot and score for the Eagles. As that was St. Louis who put it home. Husson getting their second of the contest and putting them in a spot where it looks like they're in that driver's seat to try to take one home.
Yeah, I believe Riley Speed just took a shot from way out. Keeper fumbled it a little bit. St. Louis was right there. Pick it up, put it in the back of the net.
And St. Louis has definitely emerged this season as one of the starting forwards for this squad. Her and Addie Lasley have split a lot of time out there, as well as Olivia Charles. But I think she's going to have a much bigger role next season, Caden, when she takes on kind of that mantle as the returning starter for this Husson team on the forward side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the bench comes in so handy. I mean, we have Aviola and Harriman for this Eagles squad, both departing after this year. They're in their final games now, but this bench has so much depth behind it. Coach Mullins and this Eagles coaching staff has to be pleased with who's replacing them.
Yeah, this Eagles coaching staff winning that Coach of the Year kind of coaching staff award from the conference. And it's pretty evident, I think, definitely. You mentioned how deep this bench is. There's a lot of players out there for the Eagles that are key contributors. Obviously, Harriman and Aviola in the offensive side of things. And then also, I think Buddy Meyer and Russell as well in that central midfield, all players who are going to be departing next season. But also, you've got 5 or 6 starters who are all staying on this squad for next year. And then you have those players off the bench who are going to emerge and kind of fill those roles immediately out there. Lambert also one of those players who won't be coming back next season. That one's going to be up top to Russell. And she gets cut down at the top of the 18. Russell a little slow to get up on that one. That's one, Caden, that you could definitely have seen potential card awarded. Kind of a foul up in the offensive zone. Not a whole lot of ball gained by the defender.
Yeah, especially Russell was kind of making the turn towards the net. See that foul from behind. Normally, you might see a card come out. I think this coaching staff for Husson is definitely arguing it, but they won't be rewarded.
And I think from this angle, we could see Aviola try to put one on target.
I think so, and we talked about the wind, but also look at the sun. I mean, it's right in that goalkeeper's face, and that can make it difficult to see the ball, too.
Aviola, that one dipping, and Allen gets 2 gloves on it. Saw the effect that the wind had on that ball right off the foot. I think one of the kind of underappreciated sides of Lindsay Reed's game in that midfield, we talked about the defensive side of things, but also he kind of has a knack for winning those 50-50 balls on kind of goal kicks and free kicks out there. Very, very talented at just kind of getting to the ball first for the Eagles.
And that's a trait you love to have, and no matter what midfielder for a coaching staff, if you have somebody that's going to come into the game and win your 50-50 battles, those are battles that really turn the tide.
Aviola keeping this one inbounds out on the far side, and she gets knocked down there by the defender. So it'll be a free kick here. It looks like Kaylee Nault's going to push up the field to take this one a little bit out of Aviola's distance. So Nault's going to take this one quickly, trying to float something towards the back post. Header there. Save at the first play, and then a second save, as that was St. Louis, who was right in the keeper's face.
Yeah, referee's going to warn her. Ball was bouncing around. St. Louis took the drive to it. Allen doing a great job holding on that time.
That one kicked out wide. Aviola trying to get over there. And Russell missing the touch on the kind of bouncing ball. And that one's just going to get sent out too far in front of Myers. Myers, one of only a couple of the returning players from that 2022 championship run that Delhi had. It's definitely a game that they kind of pulled off the upset over the Eagles. Husson beat them 6-0 in the regular season. And then you could almost say they kind of overlooked that squad a little bit going into the playoffs. And then Delhi, they obviously helped out by the double red card, which impacted them as well, but also allowed them to kind of have a little bit more space out there. Reed tries to flick that one on. It's eventually going to make its way to Clark, who just checked into the contest. Aviola out wide to Buddy Meyer here. Now going to send Lambert to the corner. Lambert trying to take a touch around the first defender and the second one there. I think that's going to go out for the corner kick, though. Looks like Lindsay Russell will head over there to take that corner. Husson setting up with 5 or 6 players right at the top of the 18. That one sent over the top. Lambert there for the Eagles. Still getting kicked around. Now out to Lindsey Reed. And it's going to get booted around. And Aviola had a chance at it. But eventually Allen falling on top of the ball. So it'll be a punt here from the keeper.
I think that was just a case there of having too much time on the ball but not enough space. I mean, you just get so many players in that box that it can be hard to find any sort of gap to get a shot off.
Delhi did a good job of kind of dropping most of their squad back in and around the kind of 12-yard line. And Reed crashing into one of the offensive players on that one. Eventually it's going to be Nault who's going to try to clear it up the field to St. Louis. Good job defensively there from the Broncos. And Russell trying to send one of Lambert or St. Louis up the line. Both of them have done a lot of running here in this first 20 minutes. We'll see if Coach Mullen starts to open up that bench a little bit. Kenny just dribbling around with it for a little too long, trying to find someone to pass to, but no one open for the Eagles. That's one I think as a keeper, Caden, you just want to get out of your own 18 area. St. Louis managing to get around the first defender. It's going to go out wide to Clark. The Eagles running room in front of him. Trying to send Harriman to the corner, too far out in front of her, though. And now that one will be streamed down the line. So Nault's going to drop it to the middle here to Hannah Kenny. And now pushed up the field. Good job from the first defender to get there, but Russell trying to get there second for the Eagles. And offsides called there on that one. That was, I believe, Riley Schmidt, who was well offsides up on the offensive end. He's going to go out wide to Buddy Meyer now. And I think St. Louis was trying to flick that on past her to Lambert. That one sent into the middle here to Russell. And off of the defenders, but a good job to try to clear that one now. And that one's just going to get kneed up the field. Eventually it's going to be Lindsey Reed who's going to get there next for the Eagles and kick that one a little too far for the goal kick. Another sub here for Delhi as Delaney Mason's going to enter the contest. Played pretty good amount of games on the year, 3 out of the 14, or started 3 out of her 14 contests. Didn't play in the Johnson game for Delhi in their first playoff and only playoff matchup on the season. Western Conference definitely kind of got, I think, gutted a little bit in the offseason, Caden.
Yeah, you saw a lot of teams leave. One of those teams being, I believe it was SUNY Poly. I can't remember. SUNY Mooresville. SUNY Mooresville represented the West last year, and they were gone. SUNY Poly was the 1 seed that got upsetted early in the tournament. I think now they're only down to 3 teams right at the moment.
So there's only 2 in that western side of the bracket who wound up making the playoffs. I believe it's Cobleskill, Johnson, and Delhi over on that side. So another pretty Pretty aggressive foul down here on the sideline down in front of the Husson coaching staff. So far, we haven't seen any cards in this one, Caden.
Yeah, it's been quite aggressive. You kind of expect that in a do-or-die game. Ref's going to keep it in his pocket until something truly card-worthy happens.
Well, there also could be the opportunity, I think, for one of those fouls that doesn't really feel like a cardable offense that the referee just kind of gives out as a card to just try to quiet down the offense a little, or quiet down the defense a little bit. And Aviola lowering the shoulder a little bit on that one. Just a little too aggressive of a tackle.
Yeah, trying to plead her case, but you saw that shoulder drop. It all kind of happened in slow motion. The shoulder dropped, and she bodied the other player trying to gain position. That's going to be a foul every day.
This one getting sent down the line. Higgins running stride for stride is going to kick that one out of play for the throw-in.
And more to that point, Avery, about those cards, this is, a final. So it is a lot more importance on this game. And I think if the ref is just going to, toss out a card just because, maybe you want a little bit less of that or whatever the case is, if that does come back to be something bigger and somebody gets sent off for that, then, it becomes a lot bigger of a deal than in a normal game.
Yeah, and that was really the big difference maker. We mentioned it 2 or 3 times now, but the big difference maker in the last contest between these two. Aviola trying to flick that one over to her running mate in Harriman. Aviola turning on the speed down the line, gets past one defender. Now sending one across into the box. Russell trying to get over there for the Eagles. And the Delhi defender, that one's going to just stray its way out for the throw-in. And it's going to be Mullins entering the game now for the Eagles, placing Russell in that central midfield. Looks like Delhi bringing in an offensive player as well. And that one will get kicked out wide for the Husson throw-in. Harriman trying to kick that one across, and will be out for another corner kick here for the Eagles. So far, Husson's had 3 or 4 of these, while Delhi just has struggled to get any of those up on the board.
Yeah, their last corner really almost resulted in a goal, so we'll see if they try and play that same sort of setup that they did in the last one.
That one sent into the middle. Nolt trying to get there for the Eagles, and it's going to go off her for the goal kick. Looks like Husson's going to replace their 2 strikers here, as Harriman and St. Louis will depart for Lasley and Charles.
This has been such a great duo off the bench. Charles normally drops back into more of a midfield while Aviola steps up with Lasley. Charles is someone who creates and generates just so much offense all the time. Either she'll take a shot from far out or she'll set up a nice through ball for the speedy Lasley or the nice little foot play of Aviola.
We've seen a couple of great passes from Charles here in her first season with the Eagles. Was a transfer student from Regent University. Had a tremendous year for them a season ago. This year has kind of worked her way into a role with Husson. Has 4 goals and 5 assists on the year, so it's definitely been a big offensive weapon.
Important to note, most of those came really late in the season too. I think late October we were still talking about, okay, when is she going to put some stats on the board? Because she was doing everything right, just hitting the crossbar. Goalie makes a tremendous save. The assist, just the shot goes wide off a great pass. She was doing everything right, just nothing was falling. She was kind of in this little, it's what they call yips, where just you're doing everything right. It's just mentally just not right all of a sudden.
Yeah, right there. Using good body position to just knock off the defender, but it's eventually going to get taken away by the double team. Nolt's going to drop this one back to Kenny, kind of miss-hit on that clearance.
Miss-hit and win, just it's a tough duo to beat. Ball barely got 20 yards away.
Another sub here for Delhi. They've definitely used a lot of their bench in this one. They're trying to keep it fresh. Obviously down 2 here. You're going to have to get kind of offensive chances any way they can.
Exactly, and also, I mean, you know, you just need some fresh legs in there. It's been just an onslaught of this by passing and moving by Husson, and it can be hard, really, to keep up with that for a long time, so you're really going to need to use a lot of those substitutions.
First shot of the game there for Delhi, as that one almost caught Kenny kind of off guard, had a lot of movement on it. I think for Delhi, they kind of have the opposite effect than the Eagles do with the wind, of any shots or kicks that they have towards Husson will kind of be moving at a little bit of a faster clip and a little bit more of a wilder clip than Kenny might be used to.
The only problem is they have about 15 minutes to figure that out before they're going the other way, and then their shots are going to die down. And they'll have to get in close on this back line that's just been so effective today. And we say that often.
This one out to Charles, trying to flick a great one in towards Clark. Clark putting a ball across, and Allen there to collect it. That was almost a great little sequence of passing there from Charles and Clark. I think it took a touch off of the defender for Delhi.
Yeah, and Clark really put the burners on there. I mean, Delhi, they just brought in Mason for that defensive substitution so that maybe they would stop getting outran a little bit. But again, we've seen that Husson just so strong in this attack in this first half.
Delhi is going to just clear this one up the line. Out back to Kenny here. Reed's just going to go out wide to Buddy Meyer. Plenty of running room in front of her. Going to try to send the ball up over the top to Aviola. Great one in. Aviola trying to get by the defender, and offsides the call as Aviola had space in front of her.
Great feed by Megan Buddy Meyer. Aviola wins it down. Referee on the other side says it was offside. Must have just been by a foot.
And that one, flag staying down for now, but it's going to roll its way too strong and out. I think for the throw-in, though. So Donahue will replace Higgins out there. See how far up the line the Eagles get this one. I'm going to give him a pretty fortunate distance up the line on that one. I thought it was a little bit deeper in the corner. And Kenny taking her time to collect that one. Something that can definitely frustrate the offensive players a little bit. But for the Eagles, up 2 here. A lot of time wasting things keepers can do. That one kicked up over the top. We'll see if the flag stays down here. And going up against Clark down in the corner. We'll stay out wide for the Delhi throw-in. So Martell will replace Reed out there in the central midfield.
Another player who's also defensively so important for this Eagles team. Normally comes in when it's packed the bus time late in the half. Looks like to be the situation right now. Just keep this lead until halftime, and then we'll adjust for Coach Dennis Mullins.
Yeah, we saw last week in that Leslie contest, late in that one, the Eagles kind of just brought in all three of their defensive midfielders and just kind of dropped into more of almost a 6 or 7 back line. Had a couple players running around up on the offensive end. Mullins trying to poke that one away. It's going to be Aviola who's going to track back. And Lambert committing the foul on that one. That was a late tackle on the defender. Looks like that's JC Nykars who got up a little slowly on that one. Charles kicking that one up the field. Lambert trying to get there for Husson. And Kenny's going to have to come out and dive on that one. So Kenny punching that one up the field. Delhi's definitely enjoyed a little more possession here in this last 10 minutes or so, Caden.
Yeah, definitely. Winning a little bit more midfield battles. The only problem is they haven't really set anything up offensively to really challenge the back line. What they're trying to do, they're trying to send a ball over the top while getting that late run in there. But at the moment, it's just not working out for them.
Going to get pushed up the field. And kicked out wide for the Husson throw. Looks like Haley Tarbox heading out there for the Eagles. She's going to replace Aviola. Tarbox enjoyed a pretty strong freshman season. Didn't see a whole lot of minutes down the stretch. I think right at the start of the year, she was a name that we were kind of talking about. Was about to be one of the biggest contributors for the Eagles on the season. As Lambert trying to drop that one across, but dived on by Allen. It kind of started after that. Me and you did that Emmanuel contest that the Eagles opened their season with. And we saw her score in that one. And I believe have another goal in the next contest. But then have a kind of a quiet middle part of the year. I think she's definitely someone, obviously still in her freshman year, that could emerge as a bigger contributor as the seasons go on. It's always interesting to see and or kind of talk about how teams are going to transition from one group of players to the next group of players from season to season. Going to be Benson replacing Lambert out there. The Eagles have pretty much subbed out their entire starting lineup at this point, minus Buddy Meyer and a Nault on the back line. That's that depth you've talked about, Keaton.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of expected Mullins to do something a little like this with the temperature being cold. It's kind of hard to catch your breath out there when you're running around so much. Really expected that bench to empty out, especially in a 2-0 game, keep the legs fresh. So far, that's what he's doing.
Well, cold weather like this can be really, really draining as well. And this is going to be a very good free kick positioning here for Delhi. Just a few feet off of the corner of the 18. Doesn't really look like they gave him 10 yards on that one. It's going to be a little trick play around the corner, and I think Myers getting called offsides on that one. Trying to argue her case now with the referee. Looked like it was a well set up little play to loop it around the corner. That Eagles defense must have just kind of read it and stepped up the field.
Yeah, and that's definitely frustrating as a coach. I mean, you work on something like that on the training ground again and again and again, and then to get called offside, I mean, that's big as far as denying a goal-scoring opportunity.
Martell with the big tackle there on Myers in the middle of the field. And Charles gets it taken away. Myers trying to send it up through the middle. Maybe Kenny's going to slide out for that one. Not sure why she didn't just kind of boot that one up the field. Going to work out, though, for the Eagles. So now it'll be a throw-in on the far side. Donahue trying to send that one up the line to Clark. He's going to commit the foul on the Delhi defender, though. We creep down around 5 minutes left in this first half of play. And you can definitely kind of see what this Delhi strategy is, I think. Just kind of try to send something up over the top of this defense. Hope one of your offensive players gets there first.
Yeah, they have two strikers out there that have just been so aggressive and speedy. Really see this midfield try to transition it up to them as soon as they possibly can. Force something to the flag, get the midfield, get the strikers down there, hold it a little bit, wait for the rest of the midfield to join the party. So far, the wind's just kind of been affecting it a little bit. As soon as they try that through ball, the wind's just taking a lot farther than it's meant to go. And it's really hard for them, but they have beaten this back line on a couple of those rushes. A couple of them have been called back, but some dangerous looks so far.
Buddy Meyer trying to get that one up the field. It's going to make its way into the middle. It's going to be popped up into the box. Buddy Meyer trying to kick that one clear for the Eagles. Husson struggling a little bit to clear right now. And that one's going to be out for the goal kick.
Those two quick goals in the first 15 minutes are not something the Eagles want to rest on. I mean, this Delhi team is here for a reason. You have to make sure. I mean, this next goal is going to be a big one no matter who scores it. If it comes off the foot of an Eagle, you'd have to assume the Eagles would go straight, pack the bus. But if Delhi scores the next one, things get really, really interesting.
That one kicked out wide for the throw-in. And Nault catching the leg of the offensive player on that one, trying to kick it clear. So it's going to be a free kick here for Delhi from about 5 yards out of the box.
That's a tough one for Nault. Her and the other player both going for it. Nault goes to volley it away and just gets the player on the back of the leg, I believe. That's going to be a foul, and it's going to be a dangerous opportunity.
So the Eagles aren't even trying to hide the 10 yards here. Still don't think you're quite at 10 yards at that distance, but Delhi not asking for another call there on that one. Usually you see the referee kind of walk that one off a little bit.
Yeah, you have to ask for 10 yards. That is the rule. You can't just be giving it right off the free kick unless it is egregious. Normally we see it card-wise if you step right in front of the ball. But you have to ask for the 10 yards if you're the player taking the free kick. That is the standard rule. Delhi hasn't done it on the last two dangerous free kicks, and Eagles have been able to set up right in the shooting lane.
That looks like Husson set up about 5 yards away instead of 10. So Nault just preparing this one for the free kick after the offsides. That ball rolled a little bit right before she was about to take that one. I think kind of messed up her run-up.
Yeah, gust of wind coming in the last second.
Tarbox with a little through ball out on the wing side. And it's going to be Allen who's going to slide in there for it.
Allen has done such a great job reading the play so far. I mean, you can really only look at her at 2 mistakes, the bobble and not seeing that Harriman shot that kind of caught her by surprise. But other than that, she's been really good coming out, ending the through ball threats that the Eagles are trying to put towards her.
Tarbox is going to drop that one out wide. Clark cutting it back to Charles. Charles trying to go up over the top to Tarbox. And Tarbox eventually taking away inside the box, has defenders all around her. No foul called on that one. That was right on that edge of the 18 and or inside of it. Tarbox trying to loop it up over the top here. Husson trying to get one more here right before the end of the half. And it's going to be Myers who's going to clear up the field. So now Delhi trying to get their one final chance here. And Nolt's going to slide in there, kick that one wide out for the corner kick, but I don't think Delhi is going to get the chance to even take it here at the end of the first half. Eagles up 2-0 on Delhi in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it was a really, really entertaining half. The Eagles just jumped on them early, but the Broncos started making a little bit of the comeback really late in that first half. You have to be ready because now they're going to make those adjustments, and they're going to come out flying in the second.
And I think those adjustments for Delhi really need to be made. I mean, how many times have they been caught offside in this half? And you talked about the speedy forwards. Well, if they're trying to get to a place the midfielder's trying to find them, and if the forwards keep running offside, you're not going to make those chances. And I think that's credit to Husson for playing such a good high line. And I think adjustments like that will have to be made.
And we'll take a quick break here on the Husson Eagles Sports Network, but we'll be back for the second half of action in just a few minutes. Welcome back here to the Husson Eagles Sports Network as we are just about set to get underway for the second half. Eagles regaining possession straight away here out of the break. We saw Husson be pretty dominant in that first half of action. Obviously netting the 2 goals, but also controlling the possession and or shots as well.
Yeah, 67 total possession share, but number that really sticks out, 35 per over 24% it looks like, whereas inside that attacking box, they just did a great job just honing the possession in there in that dangerous area. Not something that's going to look positive at if you're Delhi. Normally you like to keep that number below at least 10.
The other thing to note, I think, too, as well, obviously the 2 teams switching sides. One of the big problems, I think, for the Eagles was really transitioning up the field. Kind of struggled with any sort of long ball over the top of the defense and midfield, and kind of led to that last 15 minutes or so. It was a lot of possession for Delhi in and around the Eagles' goal. We saw them actually have a few chances down the stretch.
I think for them, their attack has really been overshadowed, though, by those 8 offsides that they had in the first half. I mean, if that was probably the message from Zach Ward to his players, is you guys got to stop running offside. I mean, it's really restricted the amount of offense they can get thus far. And really, I mean, you can point out offensively to why they haven't been as successful on offense.
Eagles have done so well in these last 3 games this tournament. Pulling that offsides trap, though, has really just created just a bunch of situational awareness where you just end the threat immediately before it even gets started.
As Lindsey Reed stepping to that one. It's going to be interesting to see how these 2 teams come out of halftime. I walked up to kind of go get some food up there on the hill, Caden. It's freezing out there. It's cold. Like, we've definitely entered winter in Maine, I think, especially with that wind chill. And I think that's something that it could be a lot of these players. You could see people get a little bit tight as this one goes on. Water kind of gets a little bit harder. This one out onto the back post to Harriman, knocked around and kicked out by the defender. Stopping the clock here. This might be a card on Harriman for the collision with the keeper and the defender back there. Harriman crashing in there trying to win that 50-50 ball.
Yellow card issued to Husson's number 11, Kate Harriman.
Yeah, for the refs sometimes, they are sort of the protectors of the goalkeepers, if you will, because they really don't have a lot of protection when it comes to those one-on-one scenarios. And, of course, with the injury now, I think it was always going to be a yellow.
Dennis Mullins wants an explanation. I think he thinks Harriman got her own player.
Well, I think he's arguing a little bit for it being the defender who crashed into the keeper rather than Harriman. But I think Harriman crashed into the defender who then crashed into the keeper. So Mullins a little frustrated with that call. Obviously, it's one of those ones that Harriman's not a player you want to lose out there, and or we've talked about how big kind of being a player down could be in a game like this. So Harriman will have to be a little bit careful up on the offensive end. Obviously, you don't see her have to commit a whole lot of fouls, especially in a game that the Eagles are leading.
And I think that's a good thing because it means that she might not really be in danger of getting a red.
Yeah, if you have a yellow card on one of your defenders, it kind of creates that tricky situation of can they still step and make that tackle that's need be? Sometimes you kind of have to have a tactical foul. Lambert trying to send that one down the wing to St. Louis. It's going to string its way out wide for the goal kick, though. So we'll see if Delhi had the same or will have the same problems as the Eagles did in that first half about kind of pushing up the field. Looks like that wind's calmed down just a little bit. Kind of looking at that corner flag, it's not quite as gusting as it was in the first half. Aviola trying to weave her way through the defense, going to go out wide. The cross in towards the back post. Lambert trying to get back there. Going to go too strong, though, and out for the goal kick. The one drop back to the defensive player. Now trying to push it up the field. Nault's going to step to that one and drop it out wide to Clark, though. Clark, great little feed through the middle there to Harriman. Harriman trying to weave her way through the defense. Going to go out wide to Clark. And Clark too strong of a pass there, trying to find Aviola. Aviola was just looking for the little square ball pass on that one. And Russell tries to get the shot off, but a little too under it, and it goes up and over. Seen her score a few from that distance this season. So the Eagles here pushing all the way up into the middle of the field. Kind of expecting not too strong of a kick, but that one managing to get over the first line. And that one taken right back, though, by Delhi. That looks like it's going to be a foul there on the Eagles. I think got a little too aggressive on the tackle.
Yeah, I think speed on that initial, or I think that was St. Louis on the initial 50-50, just kind of a little push in the back that they're calling compared to what was being called in the first 15 minutes has gotten a little bit more strict out there, something we were kind of talking about earlier, where things are just going to get a little bit more strict as the game goes on, keep everybody happy, keep the game in the rules.
Yeah, it's a pretty common kind of officiating strategy you see a lot, where you kind of keep it a little bit calm in the first half, don't give out a whole lot of cards, but then you see a lot of those officials who don't give out a whole lot in the first half kind of come back in the second half and switch it up a lot. That one's going to be kicked into the middle of the field, but not all over it. It's going to be a foul there on the Eagles. Actually, it's a throw-in on the far side.
Yeah, they're saying that ball went out, but quite a few people here not happy about that one.
I think the Eagles bench thought that there was a foul called on that one. I think it was just the throw-in call. So Delhi still managing to keep some offensive possession here in the second half. We talked about at halftime it might be something that they had that possession late in the half, which just kind of a little bit of the wind's fault for the Eagles as they weren't able to push it up the field. But right now, Delhi obviously not getting a whole lot of chances, but have at least had it on the Eagles' side of the field quite a bit here. Potentially a little bit of a formation change to kind of open up a few more offensive opportunities. That one will get kicked out wide for the throw-in. And foul there on Aviola. Caught right in on the defender, didn't get really any of the ball. That one taken quickly. And Nault waiting a little bit too long on that one. Normally we're used to her kind of getting there first no matter what. Now Lambert with the Jets out on the wing. That's going to be a foul on Lambert. We've seen a number of these kind of shoulder-to-shoulder fouls now in this last 5 minutes.
It's really killing a lot of momentum for the Eagles. It seems like every time they get an offensive possession where something is going to go right for them, all of a sudden it's a shoulder-to-shoulder foul. The Delhi player hits the turf.
Yeah, they're much more aggressive this half, the Eagles, in trying to press Delhi into making mistakes and creating turnovers. But in doing so, sometimes, you get a little over-aggressive and you tend to sort of foul instead of going just for the ball. And I think that can really, like you said, Caden, really derail any sort of momentum offensively.
I think this Eagles team used to playing some physical opponents as well, both Maine Maritime and Leslie from that last weekend of play. Some very physical opponents. I think this Delhi team not quite as used to some of those shoulder-to-shoulder tackles. Lambert's going to send this one out wide to Buddy Meyer now. Eagles trying to switch this one around the back line. Nault going out wide to Clark. Good touch on that one. He's going to drop it back to Nault, though. And there we go. The Eagles get the foul right back, so calling it both ways on this one. Nault's going to move up the field to take this free kick. See where Nault tries to place this one. That one kind of misstruck a little bit. It's going to be low and kicked out initially by the defense. Clark's still there, and that one's going to get kicked way down the hill for the throw-in. And it'll be now out for, looks like the corner kick. They're going to have Harriman play this one, actually. I think both of the two balls that they had over on this side, one of them got kicked way down the hill, and then the second one also did as well. Oh, the poor ball boy got caught in the in-between. So usually we see Harriman in there trying to compete for the offensive play. This one a good ball. Too high, though, and it's going to stray its way over the top and out of play. Had the right height on it for a second.
Yeah, and there's that wind again, like you said, sort of catching it, and what looked to be a good ball really turned out to get caught by the wind and be a really poor one.
Looks like that wind's actually kind of swapped directions almost. It's kind of swirling down there. And Donahue's going to win that one and just kick it up the field. It goes out wide and for the Eagles throw-in. Looks like Buddy Meyer's going to take that one over on the far side. And when do you guys think the Eagles are going to start kind of transitioning to more of a defensive formation out there?
I think we can kind of expect to see it more around the 20-minute mark. I think Coach Mullins, these offensive players are such a threat all the time. So it's really hard for him to pull off one of those players to more pack the bus, especially a player like Lindsey Russell, who's more of that offensive midfielder. You'd have to pull her off to substitute her to more of a back line role. I think Coach Mullins really just wants to keep his best players out there for as long as he can.
And Harriman again for the Eagles off the foot of St. Louis and Aviola. I think Aviola will get the double assist on that one. She was the one who put the first ball across. And then St. Louis puts a shot off the keeper that then just finds its way straight to Harriman's foot. Right place, right time. Score for the Eagles.
We were talking about it. You kind of were waiting for that next goal. I feel like 3 is a very comfortable lead in this game where, I mean, this Delhi team has only taken 3 shots this entire game. So 3 goals is very comfortable for the Eagles. You might see those defensive substitutions come in play now.
I was going to say, too, the other thing that might be in the coach's mind is the fact that, I mean, they're just winning possession back again and again, and really Delhi has had not much to do to talk about offensively in this second half, and I think maybe that's weighing in the mind of the coach, too, as if it's working now, you know, maybe why force them to get more of the ball and maybe a bit more confidence. But I think that third goal really changes things. I mean, might be a little too early to write it off now, but that certainly changes the complexion of this game for the Eagles.
Well, sometimes offense is the best defense as well. I think that's a pretty well-known saying. If the Eagles can keep offensive pressure the whole time on Delhi, it doesn't allow Delhi to kind of pull players off the back line and push them up the field. Whereas if you're the Eagles and you kind of pack the box, it allows Delhi to take a few more risks offensively, probably get a few more offensive chances.
And then at some point you got to consider too, Delhi, they're going to start playing maybe a lot of long ball passes to try and get one of their speedy forwards to get in and on goal. But again, we've seen this high line of Husson really mitigating that. And I think too, if Delhi starts to play the long ball, I think maybe we won't see too much of a change.
That one's never going to make its way back in play. And a shove on that one down in front of the bench. Aviola gets a second little collision over there as well. That was Aviola and Captain Kaylee Leach down there. Kaylee will take this one, try to push it up over the top of the box. Lambert and Reed there, but no one gets a touch on it. That one was a little too good of a ball for the Eagles to not have anybody get anything on it. Kind of perfectly placed right onto that back side of the 6-yard line. That one will be streamed out wide. There'll be a throw in here for Delhi. Russell's going to go out wide now to Clark. Clark trying to get on top of it here. Does a little move past the defender at first here. Defender managed to keep it in play, but Clark's going to just kick it right out for the corner kick. So it'll be Harriman taking the corner kick again here. We'll see if she can put it in play a little bit more. That one, a great ball in. What a save at first by the keeper, but it streams its way past her. Aviola gets on the board. That one took a second to figure out. Looked like the referee was trying to see if it had gone in or not. And a red card awarded here after the play. There must have been some words said.
No, I think what it was. This ball was going in. The girl on the post hit the hand, got it with her hand, kept it out of the goal. That's what the Eagles were like. That's a goal. That's a goal. The ball never went in the back of the net, but she used her hand to hit it out.
Yeah, she'll be awarded the red for that, and you just.
So the goal is canceled out. It never went in. So it is a red card, but she'll get the PK.
That was number 14, Ava Batista, one of the starting players for this squad. Started the last 7 games heading into this game. So Aviola will get the chance to get the goal still here on the penalty kick opportunity. And Delhi will also be down a player here for the last 27 minutes of this one. Aviola a chance to make this 4-0 here for the Eagles. So tough situation there for Batista. It's kind of that question of, do you let that ball go over or do you kind of stick out a hand? Who knows if it was intentional as well. Could have been, it was just kind of a collision down there around the goal.
Yeah, coming off the sideline. I think she said it was just by accident, just a reactionary save by her own hand. Happens.
And now that puts Coach Ward into a much bigger spot now. Who do you take off? Who do you replace?
Aviola puts it up and over top of the crossbar. That one not on frame for the Eagles. And Aviola, we've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. Had kind of a chance coming into this tournament to try to set those records in terms of goals scored in a career. But really over this whole playoffs, we've seen her just struggle at kind of scoring. She's had the opportunities that she always has, but has just not managed to capitalize. Going to have a goalkeeper change as well, as Weigler's going to head out there and replace Kenny in net.
Checking in for the Eagles, number 1, Madison Weigler, and number 4, Sammy Orest.
Could be one of those ones. Kenny not having to do a whole lot back there. It's a lot to have that keeper just stand there and not really move, especially in cold conditions. So Aviola trying to put another one on frame. That one stopped by the keeper. Wouldn't be surprised if Aviola here tries to put a few more in. Definitely kind of tell she's got a little bit of steam under her right now after missing that penalty kick play. Normally it's so good from the spot. So it'll be Clark who's going to send this one in. Eagles still maintaining this 3-goal lead. Looks like Caitlin Haley will replace Harriman out there on the wing. That one sent across the box and cleared out by the defense. It's going to be dropped back to Nault. Just going to send it up the field. We'll see if the keeper can get there first. Kind of mistouched that one for a second. Couple Eagles players in and around the possession. That one streaming its way too far. Buddy Meyer's going to send something up through the middle. Eventually collected by the keeper, though.
interesting to see how Delhi react to this now. I mean, you've got over 20 minutes now to play without a key player, and I just think really puts a damper on their comeback efforts.
Yeah, playing a player down while also down 3 goals puts you very, very much in the hole, especially in a contest that we haven't really seen Delhi get a whole lot of chances in.
Yeah, they're going to have to make a couple tough calls here. Normally, you got those 11 players on the field, you sacrifice one of the defenders to get more offense, put another striker out there. But now they're in a spot that defender comes off with no substitution, so you kind of have to hold this same shape but get your back line more aggressive, which is going to open up an Eagles counterattack that is so dangerous, and you can't let them get hot because you're trying to make up ground yourself.
Yeah, it's always going to be tough, that sort of decision, of course, to use your hands and, block that goal from going in. And like I said, we'll have to see. It didn't directly result in a 4th goal, but again, now you put yourself in a situation where you're really going to have to be aggressive.
It'll be Buddy Meyer over on the far side. She's going to send this one up the field. It's going to be off of one of the defenders, out for another Husson throw-in. Buddy Meyer, that one won, though, by Delhi. Looking over at the men's side of things right now, the SUNY Delhi men's team leading Thomas College by 1. That game just getting underway, though. So it could be a lot more action to come in that one. Thomas obviously going on a big run in the conference tournament. Beat a couple of their big opponents, or their big rivals over the years.
Yeah, they were a team that was really impressive to watch this season. Team that played really well. I mean, had a couple close games and games that you really didn't think they would be that competitive in, and all of a sudden they're winning those games. Great team, and they're a great representation of the East this year.
Yeah, Joshua Joseph getting his 2nd NAC Player of the Year honors in a row. Their freshman in David Iverson also earning 1st team all-conference honors as well. That Thomas team has some offensive firepower. As Aviola trying to get through the box. That one gets waved off. Aviola trying to argue for the call on that one. I think the keeper trying to argue for something on Aviola.
Honestly, they're kind of see both sides to the story, but I think they're both wrong. I mean, that's a 50-50 ball. And if you're the keeper, you want it. You don't have to argue the call. Aviola was just doing her job as a striker. Aviola, I mean, she does get brought down, but you're going in there 3 Broncos against 1 Eagle. That's a tough one either way.
A shot there from Charles takes a collision off of the keeper's mitts. Out wide for the corner kick. Allen getting up a little gingerly back there in net. That was one of those first shots from distance that we've seen where that wind plays such a role. Win like this too, Caden. This is one where you could put something high up around the goal, potentially have something kind of float its way back in towards net. That one sent up and in, being kicked around in the middle and eventually cleared out by the defense. This one being fought for between Russell and one of the Delhi players down there. Charles trying to cut this one back in towards the middle. And it's going to be a whistle and the foul called there on Delhi.
I don't think Husson will be in too big of a rush to take this one.
It looked like for a second there was an opportunity to try to take the quick shot. But instead, the Eagles taking their time at Delhi, having enough time to set up this wall. This is a very direct shooting opportunity. It's Charles who's over it rather than Aviola. Charles trying to put that one into the upper left-hand corner, but not there. Looks like Maddie Griffin heading out there for the Eagles. Coach Mullins opening up this full bench here late in this one. Up a player.
Checking in for the Broncos, number 21, Belvia Kanogi, and number 17, Gabrielle Avalon. And into the game for the Eagles, number 22, Maddie Griffin.
That one will get kicked out wide for the throw-in. So Benson will replace Lambert out there on the wing. Kaylee Nault getting there first for Husson. And she's just going to kick this one up the field. And what a sliding play there from Nault. Just one of her patented pendant. Those just ones that she's very, very strong at. That's going to be a foul there on Haley. Trying to get over towards the ball, but caught too much of the player. Russell's going to push this one up through the middle of the field. And it's going to be Nault who's going to get on it. One of those Delhi players kind of moving gingerly behind the play, already down a player. Eagles have basically a two-player advantage up here on the offensive end. They'll get kicked out wide for the throw-in. Yeah, that one will be out for the corner kick here. So we'll see what Husson can try to set up on these corner kick plays. We've seen them be pretty successful off these corner plays. That one sent in off the crossbar. I had a chance at it. One out wide to the wing now. That's going to be a foul there on Benson, I believe. Going to be one right back in the midfield here by the Eagles, though. Charles trying to fit one up the field to Aviola. Sent it right back to the defense, though. And Charles trying to flick that one up the field, but it's going to be taken right back by the defender. That one sent up the field now. Oh, trying to get there first for Husson. She's just going to send this one all the way back to Weigler. I think that's the first time we've said Weigler's name since she came onto the field.
Yeah, not a lot of possession for either teams on this side of the field. Weigler, hopefully she doesn't get any cold, or doesn't get cold, just standing there.
That one put low. Weigler diving to her left, gets on top of it.
Yeah, like you said, Cade, nothing much on that end of the field for Delhi. I think really that red card sort of deflating any hopes they had.
And Weigler with the wind at her back sends that one way up the field. Rest almost sending that one right back to the defense. Will wind up giving a all there to the offensive side of things.
It's one of those kicks you post on Instagram, but don't tell anybody what the weather was. That was a bomb. Crossed way over the half-field line.
This one being fought for down the corner between Buddy Meyer and the offensive player. Offensive player getting around the outside of things. But it's going to be right back out to Charles. And a good step there from Myers. Gets by one defender. Trying to get by Nault, but what do you know? Nault sliding in and clearing that one out wide. Nault getting up a little gingerly after that sliding play.
Everything just hurts a little more when the body's cold out there. I mean, no matter what. I mean, I know the ball feels like cement out there. Those players trying to win it in the air.
Yeah, and anytime you're running full speed like that, any sort of stoppage in momentum is really, like you said, Caden, that's really going to hurt. The weather, again, like you said, that doesn't make it any easier to get up.
That one off the Eagles. Aviola trying to cut her way around the inside. She's going to put this one bottom corner. What a play for Husson. As Aviola finally gets that goal she's been looking for all playoffs. And that puts the Eagles up 4 here with about 12 minutes left.
I mean, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet, but that assist should go to Samuel Resch. She just did a great job winning that 50-50 battle in the air, continuing the possession on. Ball goes right to Aviola's feet and sets it up perfectly for the goal.
So it looks like Russell, Aviola, and Nault will all exit the game. The Eagles are looking at this point, as Weigler was way out of her net on that one. It was kind of misread by the defense, I think. But at this point, the Eagles, I think, came putting their sights on a potential NCAA tournament bid going into the playoffs part of the season.
Yeah, they'll wait to see who they're playing. But obviously, winning the NAC is the automatic qualifier. So they're going to get that bid no matter what in just under 11 minutes.
Yeah, the Eagles struggled against a lot of out-of-conference opponents on the season. As Corletto puts that one up towards the corner. Out of their 7 losses, 6 of them coming to out-of-conference opponents. Doing a couple ugly scores against Bates and New York University, as well as UNI and Colby College as well.
And New York University was number 10 at the time in early September when they played. That was a 6-1 loss in a little round robin in New Jersey, I believe. So, I mean, it's going to be, they're probably going to have to play a very high seed in the tournament just due to how unwell they did in those out-of-conference games against some of those opponents that played those top dogs throughout the year.
Yeah, this Northeast region also has some really strong programs as well. You know, the NESCAC is one of the better conferences for soccer in the area. As Charles manages to loop around the outside. Puts a shoulder in. Charles cutting to the middle, puts the shot on. What a save there. And this one's just going to get kicked out wide for the corner kick. Charles managed to kind of lower her shoulder into the box there.
Yeah, just dances around everything. Somehow gets a quality shot on from a tough angle compared to where she started versus winning the corner for the Eagles. That is a successful run.
That one, a great ball in. Header from Mullins, too wide, though. Had the goal in front of her and couldn't manage to get it on target. That one's going to take a hit off of Charles. Now pushed up the field. Husson still just controlling all the possession in this one right now, Caden.
Yeah, I mean, definitely haven't changed the game plan at all. I mean, we were talking about it maybe in the last 15, 20 minutes that the score stayed the same. Kind of imagine them start packing the box really late, pulling some of those aggressive midfielders, making them more defensive. But the Eagles just sticking with their game plan. They ended up netting 2 more.
Charles trying the same little run we just saw her have. He's going to cut it back. And that one wide off the post. Charles has taken 2 shots from right and around that area now here in this last couple minutes. That one's going to get kicked up the field. Benson trying to get there. Mullins putting a ball in towards the box. And Allen's going to have to dive on it. Corletto with possession now. She's going to send this one out to Griffin. Griffin kicking up to the corner here to Clark. And Haley just a missed touch there in the middle. So the freshman in Sophia Kim entering the contest here for Delhi. Obviously still playing a player down. Charles on possession here, trying to fit one up the field towards Arrest. But the foot race is going to be won by Allen. They're going to go back to the foul here on the keeper. I think he was trying to play the advantage on that one.
Yeah, that's a really tough one because the keeper's out of her box coming for the ball. Sammy's running full speed, trying to get that one, but ref's going to give that one to the keeper every time. But Arrest, that's just a tough one from a striker standpoint. Really hard to hold off, yet play the ball, fill your role. But look out for the safety and the foul.
Yeah, that's one I think I used to get in trouble in a lot in high school, kind of those plays where you're just kind of running full speed at the keeper and trying to win that 50-50 ball, and it can lead to a lot of late collisions. And obviously the keeper is kind of that position similar to like a quarterback or something in the NFL. You're trying to protect that position a little bit. So Corletto with possession here. She's going to try to kick it up the field. It's going to get its way out to Clark. Clark trying to send a ball to the corner here to Arrest. Eagles taking Corletto and Charles off here. And bringing back in Aviola and Harriman. An interesting decision late in this one. Coach Mullins wanted to try to get his two-star strikers maybe one more chance at some of the records here.
I don't know if that's the case or if it's just putting the seniors out on the field in their final moments at Boucher. I think looking around, most of everybody on the field's either a senior or maybe even one junior out there.
I think this is actually the entire senior class out there on the field. I think just Weigler being the only one. So Mullins is going to try to pass this one down through the line.
Putting a little long end to history here. The Eagles have been so competitive for a long period of time, but I mean, for the first time in 15 years, they finally are going to win the North Atlantic Conference, something that this senior class has tried so hard for. They've been so good for all 4 years, but they're finally kind of doing what they wanted to do ever since they stepped foot on campus.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming for this group out there. Obviously, there's a few that have been transfer students. Clark not starting her career here with the Eagles at the same time as the rest of this group. But really, most of everyone else there, Dave, I think Katie Benson came in as a sophomore. The rest of that group out there on the field have been together since freshman year and have been fighting for this title and have come close a few times. Obviously, there's been other casts of characters and other key players out there for the Eagles. But this is really one of Coach Mullins' first big recruiting classes at the helm for the Husson. In his fourth season here for Husson. So, yeah, this is the group that kind of started this run for the Eagles.
So many years of number 1 or number 2 seeds entering the tournament for the East and falling short. I mean, last year we saw them lose in the first round. Year before that, they lost to this Delhi team. So it's just been a long string of events that they're finally going to have this run, and they're going to cap it off with the championship.
And they're doing it in style, Caden. I mean, 8-0 against UMF. I mean, 3-0 against Leslie. This team, they've had it all their own way, these playoffs, and they've just been so strong throughout it, and they're just well-deserved. Just played some incredible soccer thus far, and I mean, what a feeling that must be for them to have come so close against, nonetheless, this Delhi team.
Yeah, this is that same Delhi team, obviously, we mentioned. It's changed a lot, but this is a Delhi team that kind of, I don't want to say ripped the hearts out, but kind of definitely the Eagles came into that contest. I remember just talking with the players prior coming into that contest a couple seasons ago. It was kind of all but as another collision with the keeper down there.
Yeah, I feel like
It's going to be a card awarded to Clark.
3 in a short period of time is plenty. That one's going to be a card every time, especially when the goalkeeper just checks into the game. Julia Ruppert, the senior, checking into what's looking to be probably her last game.
Yeah, again, a card being awarded there, and like we were talking about earlier, that's just purely that protection element of it. But I mean, you got to feel when the runner just not a lot of time to stop there, and you know that collisions like that are going to happen. But case where sometimes, we really do see the card awarded for that sort of thing.
There's going to be a foul there on arrest, so it'll be a free kick here for Delhi right in the middle of the field. Out wide to Clark now. Harriman getting cut down there in the middle of the field and grabbing her foot. That would be the argument a little bit for not having those seniors out on the field. Especially with Aviola and Harriman. Those two are very, very key to this Eagles team's success, especially moving in to an NCAA tournament type scenario. That one's just going to get kicked up the field. Griffin's going to cut it back into the middle. Go out wide to Clark now. The Eagles team starting to get hyped down there. And Caden, for the first time in 15 seasons, this Husson University women's soccer squad taking down the North Atlantic Conference Championships. Husson on top yet again. And it's time for celebration as this Eagles squad mobbing each other down there in the middle of the field. What a season for this Husson team that kind of changed their identity a little bit as the season went on. Started off as kind of a defensive team and then moved to just kind of an offensive powerhouse in conference play.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the emotion down there. They're just so excited. They're finally just did what they were sought after to do for so many years, so many high expectations every year they entered. But this is the first time they can finally crown themselves as North Atlantic Conference champions.
And we thank you guys all for joining us here on the broadcast. This is my last soccer broadcast, actually, of my Husson broadcasting career, which is kind of sentimental. But it's been a pleasure calling all these games. We're going to keep it here on the broadcast for the award ceremony and trophy presentation. But for now, it's been Avery Henningsen alongside Caden Trenowith and Philip Robarge. Have a great rest of your afternoon.